And now we're moving into sort of the greater community of transition to work related support. And so before I start, I'd probably like to introduce, we have two special guests from People to People Recruitment. So we have Aimee Burton, who's a senior consultant under the legal support at People to People. And so after achieving a Bachelor of Laws at University of Chester in 2012, Aimee worked for a leading UK law firm supporting their busy litigation team of lawyers and partners. After 18 months, Aimee made a transition into the legal recruitment industry and worked as a legal support consultant for 3 years at some of the London's most prestigious recruitment agencies. She has extensive experience assisting boutique, mid-size, and magic circle law firms, I'll have to ask what that means in a minute, with their support recruitment needs. Aimee joined People to People in October 2017 and specializes in permanent recruitment, varying across all areas of legal support, including, but not limited to, secretaries, PAs, EAs, legal assistants, admin assistants, receptionists, and paralegals. Aimee is also joining us, hopefully, if also on the call, is Jessica Hickey. So is a consultant for legal support at People to People. Jessica is a class of 2018 graduate of Bachelor of Business from majors in Marketing and Human Research at RMIT, so one of our neighbours down the road from UniMelv. Previous to this, Jess worked in the business office of a leading private school where she identified that quality business support talent was hard to come by. Since joining People to People in July of last year, Jess has specialised in recruitment of quality legal and business support candidates and is the go-to teammate for any high volume recruitment projects. Jess's #1 priority is to fill your vacancy fast, and Jess is passionate about the recruitment industry and is keen to develop her skill set as a recruiter and also educate those who are unsure about a career within the space. So outside the office, you can also find Jess out with her horses or even on your TV screens, having appeared on most recent season of ABC Working Dog Productions Utopia. Great, wow. So what a diverse group of people we're having in our space today. Big welcome to Aimee and Jessica. Thank you so much for taking the time to represent People to People and talk to our students. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For a beautiful introduction as well.
Yeah.
Mouthful.
You poor thing.
So talk to us about People to People and what are the current things you guys are doing to that potentially support any graduate students or postgraduate students trying to look for work out there.
Yeah, easy. So we'll share our screen with you because we have a nice little fabulous slideshow. So just let me know if you can see it. Can you see it there?
Looks good.
We're all good.
Excellent.
So as you said, we are here today to introduce People to People. We're a recruitment agency. We're international across Australia and New Zealand, but have an office here in Melbourne, Victoria. We want to explain how we might be able to help you in transitioning into work, plus some resources that will provide some tips and tricks as well on the way.
So I guess starting off with who are People to People. So if you haven't heard of us before, we're a multifaceted recruitment agency. We're established in 2005 by our group managing director, Mark Smith. So we recently celebrated our 15th birthday. In that time, we've grown to 8 offices across Australia and New Zealand. We work with clients, so businesses and companies, to fill their vacancies as fast as possible. Our main focus is to provide a personalised service and then ultimately to become an extension of the client themselves. So in terms of where are we, as I mentioned before, we have 8 different offices across Australia and New Zealand. We originally started in Sydney, where we grew to 3 offices, and in the last 5 years or so, we opened the Melbourne branch, and our newest branch is Adelaide. So pretty much wherever you go, People to People will be able to assist you across the country, which is definitely a nice feeling, and then in Auckland as well. So who are we? I guess we did get such a lovely introduction, so I'll fly through this one. But as mentioned, I'm Jess, and I studied a Bachelor of Business. I majored in Marketing and HR. I graduated in 2018. Throughout uni, I worked within admin at a private school, as well as in retail. I've been with People to People for just over a year now. People to People is my graduate role, so I was in your position not too long ago at all.
Yep. And yeah, we got the wonderful introduction, so I won't go into too much detail, but despite us both being in legal support, we have pivoted into other specializations and can give quite generalized and then tailored kind of feedback and suggestions and advice as well as we go. So even if you aren't studying within legal or expect a career in legal, I'm sure we can help as well, or at least kind of point you in the direction of someone within our business as well.
Cool, and let me just change my slide. On that, obviously, we specialise in the following different areas that you can see on your screen today. As mentioned, Aimee herself specialises in legal support. Personally, I specialise between legal support and business support. So business support encompasses anything from customer service and call centre, admin, ops and supply chain, as well as executive search. Something that we pride ourselves on here at P2P is that we can cater to a wide variety of client needs, so they can outsource their recruitment function solely to us, and as a result we have a lot of industry connections. In addition, we also recruit within sales and marketing and banking and finance, so as Aimee mentioned, we are able to point you in the right direction of someone who'll be able to assist you in your job search. And people2people also provide outplacement or HR solutions as well, so we're definitely a one-stop shop for any people-based needs.
Lovely, thank you. So more on to how we can assist you. So for those that haven't worked with a recruitment agency before, we do work differently to what's known as an employment agency. So as a recruitment company, we are very reactive to the instructions from our clients. So as much as we obviously want to be able to help everyone, it's not necessarily possible in our day to be able to do that, unfortunately. But with the networks and the relationships that we have, if you have got some experience already in, say, if it's customer service or administration, any office support, we then can hopefully leverage that for you. So some of the organisations that we work in are in industries such as medical technology, legal, property, transport, government, finance, insurance, and there's plenty more. And as I said, for those students and graduates that have possessed some relevant experience previously, we're then able to assist them in securing work that we hope will suit their skill set and their availability, and also advance that as well. I guess that's the most important thing whilst you're working, that you want to be advancing your skill set and your knowledge there. We can offer opportunities on a temp basis, a temp to perm. So starting off temporary if you are available immediately, with the hope that it will later be offered on a permanent basis. Contract, fixed term, so 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and then also on a permanent basis. They can be offered on a part-time or full-time basis as well. I guess largely for us it is more full-time than part-time. I guess for me, coming out as a graduate all those years ago, probably about 8 years ago now, I didn't realize that I was this anxious until I actually got into an office environment, and then the phone rang and I was like, huh, what do I do with that? And then my boss was like, Aimee, you need to pick that up and deal with the inquiry. And I was like, but what if they ask me a question and I don't know the answer? And he was like, oh, work it out. And I was only saying to Jess whilst doing this presentation, it's, you know, even those small things that we now take for granted actually probably causes quite a lot of stress when we first came out of university and didn't have that experience being in an office environment and being able to pick the phone up and having confidence in those conversations of like, how can I help? Like, I'm actually genuinely here to help. So I think even just, you know, maybe after a couple of months of being in that office position, it gave me the confidence to be like, I'll pick up the phone, like, no worries. So that's really valuable. And also, you know, it can be quite nerve-wracking for people that haven't worked in a team environment before to kind of go into a position which might be their, you know, their dream role after coming out of university, and they're going, you know, what do I talk to these people about? You know, if I bump into someone in the kitchen or the workout room or whatever it may be, what do I speak to them about? You know, how do I build up that kind of conversation? So even though getting a temp position in, you know, customer service or sales or retail might not be the most attractive or glamorous when you first come out of university, because you're wide-eyed and you're thinking, you know, this is what I've been working towards, I'm going to get this job. Actually getting some temp work whilst you're looking in something like customer service or sales or office support could actually be really valuable, because it's giving you a really strong foundation. So that's where we think that that work will be really valuable for students and graduates, so that you're not going into your dream role and being nervous about those small things that could be worked out at an earlier stage. So we've listed a couple of the most popular areas that we're able to help students and graduates, and particularly now in the midst of the pandemic, we're still continuing to see roles mostly in supply chain, office support and administration, and customer service as well. Obviously not so much retail, unfortunately, and sales at the minute, but I'm sure they'll come back in time. Lovely. So we also wanted to provide some resources for you that are accessible 24/7 on our website. So if you head to people2people.com.au, you can access all of these blogs, but these are some articles that Jess and I cherry-picked for you guys today that we think are most suitable for you as graduates. And these are articles that, as consultants across the country, after, you know, it could be someone that's worked in a recruitment position for a year, it could be someone that's worked, you know, for 10, 15, 20 years, and it's just us giving some kind of like friendly advice on what we see day in, day out, and how you can kind of put your best foot forward. So if you head to our blog, then you'll see hundreds. there's so many that you can get stuck into, and they're only short reads. So you know, you're not going to be there for 20 to 30 minutes, but each article is probably about a 2-3 minute read. But here are just some examples. So Jess said it herself, she was a graduate not so long ago, and I think she might have actually written a blog about coming out as a graduate, and we do have graduate programs across the country, so no surprise that we've got a few articles from graduates on their story and their advice from coming out of university. The first we've got here is tips on getting hired as a recent graduate, and I know for many coming out of university, like I said, you're wide-eyed, you're ready to go, you want to hit the ground running, and you're thinking, okay, I'll just make as many applications as I possibly can, and obviously you want to do that as quickly as possible. So this article is very much just saying, look, as much as that's great, you really want to tailor each application so that every hiring manager that receives your application thinks, gosh, they made a real effort with this one. You know, their cover letter is really hitting the mark, the CV is really concise and really picking their experience and their skill set and their qualifications really quickly as well. So there's some great tips in the first, and then the second is some further tips from a fellow graduate. And although university can definitely prepare you for the real world in so many ways, there's some more suggestions here on further skills and tools that you'll require, which may include kind of getting that temp and contract work when you first come out as well. And now going on to the resume and cover letter itself, you want that cover letter to have the wow factor. You don't want to, you don't want someone's eyes to glaze over whilst they're reading it and think, oh gosh, this one's going on for long, because frankly, you know, I've been in this role for 5+ years, and when you have an inbox of 100 applications, you're not going to give 5-10 minutes to each cover letter and CV. You're probably going to give less than half of that, if I'm being brutally honest. So you want the cover letter to have the wow factor, and also in terms of the resume as well, some people might fall into the trap of thinking, oh, I just need 1 page, or you know, two pages maximum, and it's like, well, actually you just want to get your most valuable experience down. You want to have a really strong chronology. You want within, you know, 10-15 seconds or so on looking at your CV to go, okay, this person went to this university, this is what they achieved, these are some things that during their studies they achieved that might be outside of their academic work, these are the roles that they had, you know, whether it's pre-university, during university, after. It needs to be really clear and concise. And there's many common errors that people do put on their resume that we've outlined pretty succinctly in this article. So yeah, we just don't want you to fall into the trap that many do. So we've tried to outline it very clearly, and I think you'll find a video of me talking through it on that blog as well. And we're very much in the online world, saying it as I'm doing an online presentation. And the first thing that we do upon interviewing candidates for positions is take a look at their online profile. We are not trying to catch you out, but frankly, our clients are going to be doing exactly the same thing. So we just want to make sure that your online profile is singing the same song that you have, that you've laid out in your interview, and also that's on your resume and your cover letter as well. So first of all, you really want to make sure your LinkedIn profile has the same titles, the positions. If you do have descriptions and things on there, that needs to be very similar. And obviously things like dates are really important. If they don't match up, people will either think that you don't have a strong attention to detail or that you're lying on one or the other. And I guess neither of those are good or positive things. So making sure that they're accurate is your first step. Also, please make sure your social media profiles are on private. No one really does care too much about what you're doing outside of work, but people unfortunately do make initial judgments, and you just don't want anything going against you in the early stages that you might have on your Instagram or your Facebook. I've known or I've heard horror stories of hiring managers actually going back, you know, 5-10 years on a Facebook profile and seeing what you're up to, you know, when you were like a teenager or, you know, 17, 18. And my goodness, if they could look back on some of the photos and my fashion sense back then, I think I'd get judged for that. So best just to put them on private and keep it to yourself, I guess. And something that's really important at the minute is if you do go on to have an online interview, presenting yourself in the most positive way there. And we've created this article from feedback that we've had from candidates that have gone onto the online interview and then secured work, which is awesome to be able to help them in this and through that method and that process during the pandemic. So through their feedback and also the feedback that we got from clients on their positive experience of interviewing, we've provided some top tips on how you can really impress over video interview, because I guess things like picking up people's body language, you don't get the niceties that you get when you walk into an office and go, oh gosh, what a beautiful reception area. You know, I don't know if many people go, oh gosh, look at that beautiful thing in the background and you're living, like, it just doesn't kind of sound too right. So it's just kind of, again, building your confidence so that you feel confident in your online interviews. And just a couple of last ones. So I know in the last presentation it was mentioned about getting a mentor, and we completely agree with this as well. You can obviously go through the channels that your university have promoted as well, but one that I recommend as well is kind of looking ahead at where you want to be in 5-10 years, and I'm sure that's going to change in time, but if you are looking ahead like that and thinking about the positions and the titles that you possibly would want in what kind of organization, and then maybe scoping people out with that kind of profile on LinkedIn and then reaching out to them. They're only human. They're someone's dad, mom, auntie, uncle, brother, sister. I'm sure they're going to love seeing a message saying, hey, I really respect you and I think that your experience is invaluable. I'd love to learn a thing or two from you, or at least have a conversation. Are you free for a virtual coffee or something? You know, the worst thing they're going to say is, no, I don't have time at the minute, but they might even pass you on to someone that does have time that is equally as valuable as well. So I guess it's just giving yourself that edge, which is definitely needed. And that kind of takes us on to the last article that we've recommended, which is how to stand out in a growingly competitive market. And that's really from the moment that you click apply on a job. It's Are you putting out the best image of yourself? And are you following up consistently? Are you, you know, having that positive manner? All those type of things, they are noted when you're in a very competitive market. You know, even, I guess, at the minute, you're not going into an office to interview perhaps, but, you know, if you were, it's, you know, having a nice conversation with a receptionist when you walk in, because 9 times out of 10, the hiring manager will come out to the receptionist and say, oh, what did you think of them? And I know it happens also often. So, you know, it happens for us as a recruitment company. You know, the receptionist will put the candidate into one of the rooms, and then when they come back and say X, Y, and Z, this person's ready, I'll say, oh, what did you think of them? How are they? So, you know, every single impression counts and is valuable. So that article kind of lists through some really valuable points there.
Yeah, and even just jumping back onto that mentorship thing, Aimee, for me, like, obviously, you know, I was a graduate not too long ago, and it is still stained in my memory as a pretty tumultuous time. And I can't imagine what you guys are going through throughout the pandemic. But, you know, for me, I came out of a Bachelor of Business, and, you know, it's quite a broad degree, even though I did specialise in marketing and HR. They're very opposite ends of the spectrum. So, you know, for me, I looked at people within my network that had careers that I thought were interesting, and I took them out for a 5-minute coffee. And it was only because of a 5-minute coffee that I'd had with someone who started her career in recruitment that I, you know, decided to apply for roles within recruitment, and now I'm here and I love it. So, you know, even if you don't know where you want to go, or you're feeling, you know, a little bit lost in the, you know, masses and masses of jobs and applications that you can put out there, just kind of looking towards your network and seeing who has a career that was interesting. Like, I went and had career chats with police officers and the whole kit and caboodle. So, and this was kind of where I landed, and I love it. So, you know, just reaching out to your network and people that have interesting careers is definitely a way to go for sure.
So that's it from us. We can forward on the resource links to those blogs for you guys to peruse in your spare time, and as mentioned, it will go to our blog hub, which contains hundreds of articles, so you might find those helpful as well, right now and also in the future. If you'd like to reach out to either myself or Jess, we've provided our email addresses there, so by all means reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you, and thank you so much for listening to us today.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Aimee and Jessica. Really appreciate your time in presenting and showing the support for all our graduates who are, I guess, in that mindset of like, how do I get this work, especially in this time? So